Hey there, nature lovers. The last frost has passed, so I figure it is time to plant out this garden bed here. And what method I'm going to use today is the square foot gardening method. So square foot gardening basically means that you're just like optimizing your space as much as possible with very dense planting. So you're planting within a specific square foot, a different variety usually of plant. And the idea behind it is, again, to maximize your space as well as to utilize a companion plants system. So companion planting means like plants that help each other to grow. So they might be beneficial in one way is that they offer pest control, or they're beneficial because they offer shade, or maybe there's some nutrients exchange. But the idea is that the plants have a symbiotic relationship together. They like to be together. So you plant them next to each other to maximize your harvest, to maximize your growing space, to just make it a beautiful bed full of biodiversity. So that's what we're gonna do today. And I've already spent time to actually divide out my bed here. So this is a 5 feet by 2 foot bed. So I have 10 spots here to be able to plant in. So to help with square foot planting, I printed out just a garden spacing guide and a companion planting chart just to make sure that I am planting plants next to each other that are beneficial and not detrimental to each other. The main thing for detrimental you want to look out is like if they, like garlic and onions have a scent that they give out that actually repels pests, but some plants don't like to grow next to those. Same with like brassicas, they might attract certain types of insects that you don't want near your other crops. And yeah, but generally there's not like too many bad companion plants. You also want to think about the shade if they're gonna and their growing time. So if something grows really tall really fast and and you're planting it on your south side here, it's gonna shade out whatever is here. So if you want your lettuces to be here and something tall growing here, then that's perfect. So for my plan here, what I've decided is I've got this trellis here and I'm gonna have cucumbers. So 1 cucumber plant in each one of the corners here to grow up. It's too early to plant out my cucumber plants. They're still in my cold frame behind me here, warming up and growing. So we're gonna hold off on that. But I think it's time to plant out the peppers and the tomatoes. It should be warm enough for them. Here I'm gonna put a pepper, a tomato, and then here I'm gonna do 9 beets and 9 calypso bush bean plants, and then peas and peas. So my peppers are still quite small. So while they're growing to fill the space, I'm gonna plant some radishes in the corners here and possibly some basil or some cilantro in the corners, because the growing time for this, it's gonna take a while for this to grow up and to cover all of that space. So you can utilize the space in between there with some fast growing crops like radishes and quick growing lettuces. And by that way, then we're also utilizing all of our space here and working with timings and making sure that we don't have too much exposed soil. So I've left this soil out to warm up because plants that I'm planting today want to be in, and it's still quite cool underneath here, they want to be in warm soil. So let's get started. So as I said, I'm keeping this side here for the cucumber. So I have a habanero chocolate plant that I'm going to plant out in here. Habanero chocolate. I'm just going to add a scoop of some organic fertilizer and pinch off the bottom leaves here. Doesn't need those anymore. My roots seem pretty good. They're not too root bound, so that's good. Now, as this pepper has all this space to fill out, I'm gonna plant some radishes just along the edges here for those to grow that I can harvest, and they'll be ready by the time, like they should be ready before this takes over the space and shades them out. So this is a way of getting in some denser planting and utilizing all of that space. And then I'll give everything a really good water at the end. Look how beautiful this habanero chocolate is. I got this one for free from a seed swap exchange. I have a whole video on that. Actually, I'll link it above. This pepper variety, I call it my Costco pepper, Dwayne's Costco pepper, because I got it from a neighbor who saved the seeds from a Costco pepper, and I saved the seeds from his pepper, and that is our Costco pepper. I've got a video on how to save seeds from peppers too, so you have all your free peppers. Okay, so same idea. I'm digging hole. I'm going to add in some fertilizer, organic fertilizer in there. Take my pepper in, put it in nice and firmly. And then same thing, I want to utilize that space around the edges. So I'm going to plant more radishes in this one here. All right, so next up I have this little tomato, which I've called it my Dubai heirloom green heart tomato. So I used to live in Dubai and I would get a veg box delivered there from Green Heart Organic Farms. And I had a couple tomatoes that I really enjoyed, so I saved seeds from them and I would just label them with what was in the box, which usually just said heirloom tomato. Now I didn't label this one correctly. I don't know if it is a cherry tomato. I don't know if it is going to be a big round tomato. I don't know if it's vining or a determinate plant. So if it is a vining or indeterminate, indeterminate means one's vining and one's not. So if this is a vining tomato, I'm going to be in trouble, but I'm going to plant it against my north edge wall here because if it does grow bigger than my Rio, which I know is a bush variety, then this one will be at the back and won't shade out my one in the front. And because I'm on a wood bed here, I can add a trellis here if I needed to for this one to climb up. Same thing right in the middle. So this is 1 square foot for the tomato, and tomatoes, you can plant them pretty deep up because there are little nodes that will grow new roots from. So we want to give that tomato a nice healthy root system by planting it nice and deep. I could have even taken off those 2 leaves and planted it like up to there, but we don't need to go that crazy. Okay, so I've got my radishes around my peppers. So around my tomatoes, I'm actually going to plant some arugula. So I have some arugula seed that I saved from my own garden last year. As you can see, the theme here is like save seeds because it's a lot cheaper if you save them from the grocery store or from your grocery store plants like Costco peppers, or from a nice tomato that somebody gave you that you want to save from, or from your own garden. So I'm going to just sprinkle some of these arugula seeds very lightly around here. And I like to eat arugula when it's quite baby. So even if this takes a little bit longer for arugula to grow, like I'm just like right down in here. I could just adjust my tripod, but too lazy. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, arugula does take a little bit longer to grow than say radishes, but again, it really doesn't matter. It's all gonna figure itself out. So as I said, this tomato plant is a bush variety. It's the Rio Grande. This is the one I'm going to be making all of my salsa out of this year. So I know this one will need like a cage eventually, and I should probably make one right away. I don't have any, or buy one. But I know that it's not going to be crazy vining like this one possibly could be. So I'm going to put this south facing so that because it'll be technically smaller. Well, I mean, it could be smaller than this one depending on if that ends up being bush or vining. So with tomatoes and peppers, because they do get big, they only get one, like you need to give them the full square foot, but you know, except for when you sneak in other little plants during the growing time. So I'm going to plant this one the exact same way. Okay, for our next box here, we're going to be planting beets. So for beets, to maximize your space in here, you can plant 9. So you can do 3 rows of 3. And I'm actually going to put 2 seeds in each hole because I find that they actually grow pretty good together. And sometimes even these seeds actually might have more than 1 plant in them, but we're going to double up anyways. Hey, and then now for my beans, same thing with bush beans. 9 plants should be able to fit in here. It'll be a bit tight for bush beans, but I think it'll be just fine. Now, actually, I probably should have put the beets in here and the bush beans here because the beans are going to be taller, but they might provide shade for the beets. Maybe the beets will be fine. So these beans, I'm so excited to grow. They're like nicknamed like orca beans for drying. And you know, like I only ever get like maybe a cup of beans out of these to dry, but I just find them so much fun. Like, look, they look like little orcas, which we've had quite a lot of drama with our orcas lately in Vancouver Island, with the mom getting stranded and then the baby mom dying and then the baby getting stranded and then trying to rescue the baby, and the baby's out now. She just hasn't found her family yet, so everybody's hoping she gets back to her family. Just like, can't believe how beautiful these beans are. Oops. All right, our last two beds, peas, which I have quite a few peas planted already because you can start, I started them quite a few weeks ago. So I'll have a succession planting, which is another kind of hack for gardening to make sure that you don't have everything ready at the same time. So like if I want to eat peas throughout the garden season, then I shouldn't plant them all on the same day. I'm gonna do 9 as well. Jam them in there. Didn't add any fertilizer to the peas or to the beets or to the beans, and that is because the peas and beans are nitrogen fixing. They will make their own food, and the beets just don't need that much. They're not heavy feeders like tomatoes and peppers. Another little tip that is I find extremely, these are some of the most hardworking little tools in my garden. I have a problem with robins eating my peas, so if you just put this over top, they can't get at them, so they won't be digging up the peas there. And I should really put one over here too for the beans and the beets. I also find that if you have really scorching heat, that it shades your little seedlings. For example, over here I have some carrots coming up, and you can see like it stays wet where it's been shaded from this, and it doesn't like burn my little carrot plants. So I use these over all my little seedlings in the beginning to just give them some filtered shade so that they don't get too hot. So I have them over here too. These are some beets that I put these on after the birds had kind of had their way in here. So there are some little beets popping up through my straw mulch, but I'll probably have to reseed that kind of area because the birds did get in there. And then same with this one over here. I also have some more beets coming in here, the yellow beets that are coming up. And this was square foot planting, kind of similar idea. I did plant these a little more densely because I wasn't quite sure. And you can see like they're already starting to bolt. Like, this is the problem. So while I'm waiting for my cucumbers to grow up, I've decided I am going to utilize this space by planting some of my favorite lettuce. This is only 5 weeks, and I actually end up like harvesting it pretty much at like 3 weeks because I don't mind little baby lettuce. So I'm just gonna plant some in the corners of each spot here, and then by the time my cucumber seedlings are ready to be transplanted out, I'll probably plant those out in at least 2 weeks probably, and then they can grow alongside my lettuce, and then I'll harvest my lettuce, and then the cucumbers will take over. All right, there you have it. That is my beautiful bed all planted and ready, except for those cucumbers, which will go in soon. And yeah, that's how you maximize your space using the square foot garden method. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.